What up? It's your boy Scott. I'm over here in beautiful Oxnard, California in the collections, and we're about to go into the annex to go visit my boy Rich at Bottle and Pint. About to drink some good craft beer, have some great conversations. Come on, let's do this. Yo, yo!
What up, Scott?
What's up, brother? Good to see you, man.
Likewise.
Long time coming,
Yeah,
man.
Glad we're doing it, finally.
Let's do it. Let's drink some beers.
Yes, sir. All right, my friend.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, man. Great to see you.
Hell yeah. And isn't it amazing to have so many good breweries right here in our backyard?
Oh man, it's only getting better too, and that's the fun part, you know. And I mean, like Casa, you know, they're having their anniversary this weekend. 7 years. It's kind of hard to believe, you know. That means we're getting old too, right? We've been around a little too long, but that's all right. That's all right. We just getting wiser ultimately, but.
And you know what's been like really dope for me? I've been living here in River Park Collection for 6 years.
I know. I get to see you pretty often. Which is you do your business meetings and everything over here. So
right.
I got nothing to complain about. But
to have this dope of a spot, to have this type of curated beer selection, and I could literally crawl home afterwards.
No, man, it's been really good. We were really lucky to get this place, and you know, really no complaints, you know. And I think the story was, I think originally, I don't know, Jack could probably confirm this, but I think Topo was originally planning on coming in here, but they wanted to brew, and so that didn't work out. So, you know, Farshad was able to sneak in, and you know, it's been history ever since.
So Bottle and Pint originally, you guys had a location in Newberry Park.
Yes.
Right.
So we still have that one going. In fact, about a little over a year, we'll be hitting 10 years there, which is crazy to think too. But you know, we were one of the first in craft beers in the area. So you know, beer will always be around, I think, and that's kind of like the major thing to think about. Is you look at history and you look at Europe and the Germans in particular. Every little town has all these breweries, and you look at Ventura County and how much like we've proliferated with craft beer.
You've been so creatively capturing the best beers all over California and the U.S.
I tried that.
And honestly, like, hats off to you, because sometimes I'll walk in here and I'm like, holy fuck, how the hell did Rich get that?
Well, I appreciate that, man. And craft beer changes very frequently, and who's hot and who's not, and you know, styles of beer, all that. You know, it's pretty difficult to stay current. And you know, I would say the biggest part of my job is curation. Fortunately, we're able to pick up beer too, and that helps us get, you know, some rarities, as you do as well. You know, places like Highland Park and Green Cheek, and Pier and Virgin down south, you know, and there's a plethora, you know. There's enough room for everybody, and there's enough space for everybody.
You know, I find it interesting. You have 20 plus beer taps here. You have the hand-selected beers that you can't even get anywhere.
Sure.
Now, to even get these beers, as I know, it's all about building relationships.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
That's a big thing, yeah.
And why is it that you've been able to build such great, I mean, I know the answer, but why is it that you've been able to build such great relationship with beer companies that don't distribute to anyone?
You know, and I think humility is a big thing. I think me coming in, I'm not the originator. Bottle and Pint certainly was not the first to do this, and I'm not a founder. Hats off to Ali and Farshad for starting this. I came in when Oxnard started, essentially. But I've been big into craft beer for a long time, and you know, the platform of having Bottle and Pint and having the credibility certainly helps quite a bit. So, you know, in reality, it's just wisdom that you gain through experience. After that, you kind of figure out what your skill sets are, and then you're able to apply that. As we continue to apply this, and the more connections we make, you know, we can build these businesses and we can build these ideas, and that foundation stays true, whether it's beer or not, or liquor, or an eatery, you know, all those things, those basic fundamentals ring true.
People gotta understand is to be successful in any business, these are the things you need,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's why we see people come in and leave quick, because number one, they don't have the passion and love for this industry like you do.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was another touch too. It's like, obviously you got to be passionate about what you're doing.
And on top of it, like going back to like building relationships,
Yeah.
you know, obviously I have great relationships with your employees,
Yeah.
your past employees, and a lot of them. And I've spoken to all of them, or a lot of them, and most of them unanimously say you're one of the best bosses they've ever had. And for you to have that relationship, not just with people who are selling beer, other business owners like myself. I mean, the first time I met you, it was like, holy shit, I love this guy.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it was mutual, and likewise, you know, and I think that's why you have your success too. And I think two things on the passion aspect, I definitely want to touch on that. Like, you know, I think we're very fortunate and blessed to be pursuing things that we're passionate about. You know, that does drive our business, but I think like for me, as I look at things and I look at businesses and continue to like travel places, you know, I was just down in SD, going to a bunch of places in Little Italy, little bars and things like that. And my girlfriend lives up in SF, so I go up to the Bay Area fairly frequently now too. So, you know, having these different experiences and seeing these other businesses, you kind of learn what creates a successful business. And in this day and age, you know, the one-trick pony isn't enough to me anymore, you know, and I think what has found success here, what has found success at Happy Place is our individuality and injecting your personality and your character and your fundamentals into the business.
Yep.
You give it that lifeblood, you know, it's different from something commercial, it's different from something stale and industrial. You have a personality. This business has a personality. Your business has a personality. That's what draws people back in. You know, it's not just, yeah, the product's good, but what's the whole package? And that also circles back to staff. I am like in awe that I'm so fortunate to have such great people around me, you know, and I feel really lucky and I wouldn't be able to be doing what I'm doing without leaning on their backs, you know, and that brings everything up. And you know, it's like, and I think you have that same foundation too, because like you have curated and people have come around you that meet you where you're at, and it makes everything better ultimately, you know.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's having the right leadership qualities to be able to listen to your staff, listen to your team, and understand what they're going through and care enough to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Which I know you've had, because
For sure.
I've spoken to many of your employees, and a lot of them are say just the fact that he cares enough to let me grow as a person, as a manager, as a friend, as somebody who doesn't feel I can do this, and shows me I can and encourages me.
Ultimately, you're probably gonna tap into some emotion today. I'm emotional guys. If you get some tears, then you know, hey, tears are
That's what
tears.
it is, baby. We're here to talk. We're bros.
Yeah.
You know, I love you. I want to have. I want us to be able to talk about whatever.
For
you
sure.
know.
First and foremost, I have to thank my parents. You know, I wouldn't be who I am without them, and their morality and their character and what they raised me on. You know, that formed me at a very young age. You know, and my dad was someone that, you know, he was always in leadership roles throughout his career. He's in the military. He worked at university, and I remember as a young boy, I would go to work parties or functions or whatever, summer barbecues or whatnot, and his staff would talk to me, and they would talk so it's maybe almost similar to what my staff's doing now, and I was in awe of that. And I was like, how is he doing that? You know, what is the algorithm? You know, like, and I think that's just the way my mind works. It's like I want to figure out how things work. Trauma also is something that can formulate you and build you and make you empathetic and make you feel and see things in different ways. And yeah, you know, there were some unfortunate things that happened in my life that kind of drew me to look things through a different filter and through a different light and have, you know, great empathy for people.
Was there one point in particular that really stands out?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, that was my senior year, my mom actually got shot by a gang crossfire, and
What?
almost died. She got shot in the neck while driving, bled out, cracked a couple of vertebrae, crashed her car. She was driving at the time. I ended up waking up, and I was like, she was going to the grocery store from the base and going to visit her sister in South Oxnard. My parents lived in North Oxnard. I just got out of practice. I think it was swimming practice at the time, and woke up like instantly. And I was like, something's wrong. And I swear to this day, I woke up the moment my mom maybe went into a different realm, or however you want to talk about it. You know, like spirituality is a very broad spectrum, and you know, like I think the way I put it is I'm spiritual. I don't have any classification of it, but that was kind of an ironclad moment for me to believe in something bigger, whether it's, you want to talk about quark theory or whatever, but there's something that we don't have tangibilities to quite yet. Called my aunt, called my dad, called my mom, obviously. Couldn't get a hold of her. So I drove around, ended up finding a police blockade, couldn't get into it. And so I knew the area, so I drove around. And right before a cop was about to block off a residential area, I saw my mom's car smashed into the trunk of a tree. And I was like, look, I think that's my mom's car, almost positive. I was like, can I please look at it? And the cop told me, he was like, hey, like, it's a crime scene. I can't let you on the premises, but there is an unidentified Jane Doe that got sent to the hospital. So I had to go to St. John's, identify my mom. She was getting revived at the time. So, you know, obviously that's an emotional thing to me. It carries to this day. Hard for me to talk about. But ultimately, at 18 years old, that shows you that life is precious. That forms something in you, and it makes you think about life in a different way. And yeah, I've had depression, and yeah, I've had struggles with finding success in life, and going to school was hard for me. But damn.
Hey, look,
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to go through what you've done, going through that as a young kid, as
Yeah.
a young adult,
Yeah.
it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Yeah. Every time I talk about it, I don't expect to get teary-eyed because I've told the story so many times, you know, but obviously it was a point of trauma in my life, and it did change my perception. It did change the way I approach life. And, you know, like, you know, you can be reflective and look back in time and say, hey, well, this never happened, and I went off to college, and I was gonna be an engineer, and I was, you know, like, and I went off to college right after, like 6 months after my mom's accident, and my mind was a mess, you know, like I was depressed. I didn't know what depression was at that time because, you know, that mental health wasn't really
Talked about.
No.
Especially for men.
Yeah. No idea what I was doing, and you know, I failed. I flunked out, and I struggled, you know, and got lost so many times. Tried so many different careers. All those failures form you. You know,
Yeah.
all those trials and tribulations you go through. If you let it, it will mold you and it will guide you. And I think ultimately I ended up where I'm supposed to be.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of it. You know, like if you think about the bigger scheme of life, you know, like if you live life in regret, you will always feel that and you always live in the past. But if you just let the process heal you along the way, then you end up on top. You end up growing, and I'm a better person for it. You know, like all those things made me more empathetic, more caring, more understanding of people going through their own things. And that made me who I am.
That shows.
Yeah.
I see it. And that's why you've been able to be the backbone of this business and really resuscitate it through multiple issues that we had.
Hey man, it's been a rough few years.
I wanna really get into how you did that through COVID and all the other stuff that happened.
Yeah.
But I want us to go sit down.
Let's break the bar barrier.
Let's throw this beer back, and then, you know, let's try something else. Bro, we've been talking about doing this episode since COVID.
Yes.
And it finally happened. So I'm gonna say cheers to you.
Cheers to making it through COVID, first of all, for all of us, anybody in small business, honestly, because that's, man, seriously, at the camera, yeah, that was rough. For all you out there that made it through, congrats.
And you guys went through a whole lot of shit through COVID.
So, yeah, in regards to COVID, yeah, I got a little bitter. Like the way the rules were written, the way things were done. And
I want to say congrats to you because you fought for these businesses. You worked your ass off.
Yeah.
When I think of Bottle and Pint, I look at as you, even though you're not a founder.
Yeah.
I look at you as the identity of Bottle and Pint because of all your hard work, your energy, your effort, and what you've been able to do and bring to our communities with Bottle and Pint.
Yeah.
Right? But in all this bullshit and all the crap that happened through COVID, it also created an opportunity for you. And instead of just being a manager, today you're a part owner.
Correct. Yeah, and that's again, that roots back to me. I'm not someone that necessarily gravitates towards the spotlight. Like I don't like talking about it unless obviously with people that I view as my peers. But I was fortunate, and fortunate for both the founders, Ali and Farshad, for being very accommodating to me and wanting me to be around, and also maybe their vision of the future that I am going to be the identity, that they allotted me that, and I viewed it as an opportunity. I knew money was an issue through COVID, and I was fully vested. I wanted to make sure this business was going to succeed, but I knew my salary was going to be something that put the business under. So I was like, hey, look, I'm willing to do what I need to do to keep the business running. I'll be here slanging beers to go and doing whatever I can. While everybody else is furloughed, I'll be here. But you don't have to pay me, but consider giving me a slice of the pie, and I'll take that as payment. It was a matter of buying when the market's down, and that rings true to obviously some stock market foundations and principles, but ultimately I knew beer was gonna be around post-COVID. I knew that things were gonna pick up again, and yeah, it's a long game, and I mean, in all honesty, it's gonna take a few more years for it to really pay the fruits of the labor and the sacrifice, but I don't regret it.
The fact that you get that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, the newer kids from the new generation, I feel a lot of them, they want the results fucking immediately.
Yeah.
Versus being able to put in the energy, the effort, work hard, and not get the reward now, but get it in the long term.
Well, so this is, again, we're gonna get philosophical, because I mean, this is a whole societal thing, and I talk about this a lot, and again, we're talking like old people, because maybe we are getting there, but
wise people.
There's some gray in the beard, these days.
Wise people.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. We have wisdom. We don't need to talk about age.
And the more beers you drink, the more wisdom you get.
Well, the beer keeps you young, people. That's the government won't let you post that, but beer keeps you young. But ultimately, what were we talking about?
I also believe a lot of the things that people are seeing and they believe to be true isn't true. Right, social media isn't showing you all the hardships everyone does, right? I'm not gonna post every time me and my wife, and I'm guilty too. I'm not gonna post when me and my wife are having a fight, or I'm having a disagreement with a coworker. I'm not gonna do that. You're gonna post a cool picture when you're out and about, you're having fun, you're on vacation. We don't post all that. So,
I mean, we talked about curation earlier, a curation of beer. This is a curation of life. And it is a heavy filter,
Yes.
And then you start talking about aesthetics, which is a word I have been told by my girlfriend. I'm still learning what it means, because maybe I don't know what it means, but the idea of you're building and curating a life and a lifestyle that is like meant to be seen, and that's how you want people to view you as, but that's not reality, you know? And as we touched on earlier, I mean, life is messy, things happen. And, you know, like in a lot of ways, I think people that work for me, a lot of them have been through trauma. Most people have been through trauma, but they're not willing to talk about it. They're not willing to be open about it. But that's what like bonds you together.
I also think that society's made it that way where it's difficult to discuss these type of things.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think like there's this aspect that like, if you're not talking about positive things, then you shut down, or like you don't have the tools to deal with life as it comes. And you know, like I'm openly admitted, and I'll openly admit that to anybody, that like I've struggled with depression, and I've struggled with coming out of that. And you know, like COVID was not easy.
No.
It wasn't easy for a lot of people. Mental health now is a very prominent thing.
And I remember that shit like yesterday. You're like, listen, Sky, I'm not in a good place right now.
Yeah.
This COVID shit's fucked up the business, fucked up me.
Yeah.
And the sacrifices that you were making, which are hard for anybody. Like,
oh, for sure.
To take away your salary or reduce your salary that much to keep the business afloat. I mean, you're such a team player to do that. I commend you. I think that's fucking amazing. Yeah. But to do all that, it takes a toll on everybody.
It does, for sure. And you underestimate that sometimes, or you downplay it. And you know, like it's about taking the people that you're with and helping them build up. And you're doing that. I've seen you do that with people, and it's beautiful, you know. And when that works, and when it goes right, it's one of the best things, you know. Like,
absolutely.
And when you walk into work every day and you're hanging with your friends, and you know you're gonna have a good conversation, or even if they're going through a hard time, you're gonna be able to relate to them. It's not stale. We're not robotic, you know. And I think in the corporate world, if you think about like, I mean, the moment I think about like, hey, I would love all the benefit programs and all this stuff, and the 9 to 5 and weekends guaranteed off and paid vacation and all that. You think about being in a cubicle and in a box, and like sitting behind a computer screen and having nothing to do except stare at that screen all day. Yeah. I mean, man, slip my wrist.
Like, it ain't for you, it ain't
like,
for me.
Nah, I would literally be like running laps around that cubicle.
We're the type of people to work longer, work harder, make less, and be happy because we're doing what we do.
Correct.
Talking about your goals, right?
Yeah.
And let's also talk about the future, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about the past.
Yeah.
We talk about what you've done for this company and really built it up, and they love that.
I get embarrassed.
So I love what you do, and you inspire people and your employees and your team. But what I really want to know moving forward, what is the future of Bottle and Pint? What do you have coming up?
Sure.
What are the things you're excited about?
So this model works very well. You know, like you're not paying for a huge space. You have support of other businesses. So like I do see this working, cutting and pasting someplace else, you know. I think personally for me, I keep viewing California as like being a little more troublesome in terms of like running small business. Yeah. There are plenty of other states that are a little more amenable, and you know, those of you in the know will know what I'm talking about in terms of like, you know, rules and regulations. Ultimately.
As much as we love the weather here, we love California. Being an entrepreneur and a business owner,
you have to look outward.
It's hard. I think I'm finally coming to that realization that I need to expand outside. Yeah. But me personally, I'm trying to expand a little bit here before I do that.
You still want the home base.
I want the home base.
I'm literally the same way. Like I would love to see Bottle and Pint do a form of brew pub, have a kitchen, because again, we talked about one trick pony not being enough. You talk about learning from COVID, not having food really worked against us. And you know, food margins are great. I came from that industry.
And you know that industry.
I know that industry. And you can talk about Finney's. I mean, they're a monster now, you know, and they're open everywhere from the Central Coast to LA.
I will tip my hat off to them for their business, what they're doing, and the fact that, to me, I feel like it's their operations and their overall structure that is getting them the success they want. I personally, like, I don't go there too often because I'm not in love with their beer selection.
Sure.
I'm not in love with their food selection because I'm a foodie, I'm a beer guy, but I'm in love with the way that they do business. I think it's smart. I think one thing that a lot of business owners fuck up on, right? Is we don't put the right systems in place for success.
And we were talking about that earlier as well, and that's, I 100% agree. And like, there's this combination, and we talked about like, we come from the stock of like, we're used to doing it ourselves. We're used to wearing the 10, 15, 20 hats to make it work, right? And that's all in our head. And it's not a business plan. It's not a training manual or anything. Finding a way and the time, honestly, to extract that.
Finding time is always a fucking problem.
Yeah, is probably my biggest challenge. And I think that's one of your biggest problems too, is like, it's just finding a way to put that on paper so that you can replicate it. Because like, ultimately, you don't want to do something stale. You don't want to do something where it outgrows your brand or your image and you have a handle on it. Like you don't want it to grow into something unless your goal is to franchise. If your goal is to franchise, then cool, like do it and let it be its own beast, but then sell it off, you know? But if you want to have your footprint on it and you want to have your brand, you do have to take that time. And you know that to be a fact. I know that to be a fact. Have I found the time yet to do it? No. But for that to grow as an image and as a brand, that needs to be written. It needs to be taught because it needs to be replicated, especially if you're taking it out of state. Like you need to be able to find someone or bring someone with you that is willing to move and hand them this Bible, this like essence, and allow them to grow that and plant it and water it and like nurture it. And
I think the biggest problem with most entrepreneurs, right? And if you're an entrepreneur, you are going to feel this, is we are so used to, like you said, wearing so many hats, right? Being the one that does everything. And now all of a sudden having to give up control, I think is really difficult. And then when we give up control, we don't do it systematically.
No, it's chaotic, man. It's all over the place. Like I'm lucky to have the people. Like I was very lucky to have Allison come on board. I love Mario, aka Carcos. He'll hate that I put that out there, but hey, it's his name. But he's my right-hand man now. He's the manager here, and to be able to lean on those people that share the dream and share the imagery that you have, helps tremendously. But those people are far and few in between. And again, time is not your friend, and you can't just wait for those people. You have to find a way to seek those people out. And then build that culture outside of yourself, because you can't be everywhere.
But I also feel that people seek you out too. It's because your personality and you've got this magnetic personality that people want to be around. I want to be around you.
Well, but I mean, it's mutual for you too. Like you bring people in, and like, again, like I feel extremely fortunate and extremely blessed to like have that as a option, like where people are like coming to me often and coming to Mario often. Hey, can I have a job here? Can I be a part of this? I love what you guys do. And like, that's the biggest compliment I could get.
The reason you have great people is you have a great leader. Without a great leader, you don't have great people. Because the problem is too many people want to take too much credit for everything. That they want to take credit for what other people do. Right? Versus encouraging other people that they brought up a good idea. This was great. That was great.
For sure.
Like the people that are helping you with planning events, planning this, planning whatever, like giving them the kudos that they deserve. And you're great at doing that. Now,
well, thank you.
All right, so I love the fact, everything that you're doing with partnering with local beers and bringing beers from all over. And I love what you're doing in the craft beer industry. Right? But I feel like you have so much more value other than just this industry. I think as an entrepreneur, even though you've only been an entrepreneur for a limited time, I feel you've been an entrepreneur in your DNA as you were younger. What are because I respect you as an entrepreneur.
Thank you.
Along as an amazing human being and a friend. But
it's mutual, first of all. I want you to know that. And like on all spectrums. So like I feel that. And I mean, again, the reason I think like-minded people are drawn together. So sorry to cut you off, but please
absolutely.
continue. Yeah.
No, I want 5 tips.
Okay.
As an entrepreneur.
Sure.
Right? To let everybody know. 5 tips as an entrepreneur that you'd like to share with the world for them, whether they're an entrepreneur or they want to be an entrepreneur.
Sure.
Just 5 tips of somebody who's been in the trenches.
So, I mean, first and foremost, dream big. You always have to dream big. Regardless if you know your limitations or you don't have funding or whatever, you always have to dream big. You always have to think the loftiest of dreams. Because otherwise, if you don't even have that as a dream, it will never come to fruition, right? Like that's point 2, be true to yourself. I think like we get caught up as a society, as business owners, as whoever, to just be what the construct requires you to be. You have to be true to yourself. You have to be true to like what you believe. Otherwise, like you're gonna get lost in it.
I absolutely 100% agree.
3, cultivate the people around you, the culture around you, really work on your connections. You have to start leaning on people that are experts in those different locations and those different hats. If you can't do that, you can't delegate outward, you will never grow. That is...
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Point 4,
I mean, honestly, just the point 1, 2, 3 was fire. You know what, Rich? I appreciate this. I think this has been amazing, and I think this is something not just our local community here in Oxnard, Ventura County, need to learn from and see, especially from somebody who's gone through so much at a young age, to be able to work their asses off and build a name for themselves in the craft beer industry, let alone the hospitality business. You're an inspiration to a lot of people. You're a joy to see around town. I fucking love you. I appreciate you.
Hey. Love you, man. Thank you for the opportunity, man. Let's finish the beer, man.
Fuck, I got emotional. I wasn't expecting that. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in to Sippin' with Sky. Please don't forget to like, comment, share it with a friend, and subscribe. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at Sippin' with Sky. Cheers! We'll see you on the next one.